Hi, it's John Vu, and in this lesson we're going to go through Love is the Drug by Roxy music from Trinity Rock and Pop Drums Grade 3. So looking at the sheet music, you can see the song title at the top of the page, left hand side. Beneath that you've got intro in a box, just letting you know the first section of the song we're going to be playing is the intro. Beneath that you've got the style or genre of the piece, so it says rock, so it's a rock song. And then beside that it says a quarter note equals 124, so that's the tempo of the piece. So you're going to hear 124 quarter note beats per minute. Okay, so it's quite a fast tempo. And then beside that it says 1.5 bars counting in brackets. So that's letting you know when you play it with the track, you're going to hear 1.5 bars of counting before the track starts. Okay, so looking at the first bar of music, we've got the time signature there. So 4/4 we're in. So 4 at the top tells you there's 4 beats in the bar. 4 at the bottom tells you each one of those beats is a quarter note. So we're feeling 4 quarter note beats in the bar. And then beside that, you can see the first bar of music, we've got 2 beats there. Okay, so you've got a beat of 16th notes and a beat of a quarter note. Okay, so quarter note, which obviously lasts the whole beat. So you've only got 2 beats in that bar, and we're in 4/4, which has got 4 beats in the bar. So what that is an anacrusis or a pickup bar. Okay, so that's a bar that leads into the start of the piece. Okay, so because we've got 2 beats there in that bar and we're playing a bar that's got 4 beats, those 2 beats will be the final 2 beats of the bar. Okay, so like I said, we've got 4 beats in the bar, but we've got a 2-beat anacrusis. So the 2-beat anacrusis is going to start on the 3. Okay, because that's 2 beats from the start of the next bar. Okay, so that's why you've got 1.5 bars of counting. So you're going to hear 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you're going to play 3 and a 4 on the snare drum. Okay, so it's notated on the snare drum, that feel. So you've got an anacrusis or a pickup bar that's 2 beats long. We're in 4/4, so it's going to come in 2 beats before the 1. Okay, so that's the 3. So you're going to play 3 and a 4. It also says above that bar, snares off. So you want to make sure your snare wires are away from the snare side head. So you want to just turn your snare mechanism off. So you've got this sound on the snare drum. Okay, so your snares are off. Then we're going to play this fill. So 3 and a 4, we're going to play single stroke. So you've got 3 and a, right, left, and then you're going to play the right on the 4, the quarter note on 4. Beneath the bar, it says MF, which is short for mezzo forte, which means half loud. Okay, so that's the dynamic you play it at. So we're going to have 1.5 bars of counting, and then we're going to play the fill, 3 and a 4. So you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's just to show you where it comes in. Okay, so obviously I went through it twice there, but you just play it once when you play it with the song. I just wanted to give you a demo just so you could hear it again. Okay, so it's an anacrusis or pickup bar, which leads into the start of the piece. So the next bar is a full bar, and that is bar 1. Okay, so the pickup bar doesn't count as bar 1 because that picks us up into bar 1. So the first bar of music is the 1 bar groove there we've got. So we've got 8th notes on the hi-hat. So with the right hand, you're going to keep those 8th notes. And we just got quarter note on bass drum, quarter note on snare, quarter note on bass drum, quarter note on snare. So we've got a nice straightforward groove there. And then in the next bar, we've got 8th notes on the hi-hat up until the and of 3. So you've got 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then on the 4th beat, we've got a quarter note on the hi-hat. And you can see above that note, we've got a little circle which tells us to open the hi-hat. So you're going to open the hi-hat for a whole quarter note, and that's going to close on the next downbeat, which will be the 1 of the next bar. So you can see at the start of the next bar, we've got that little plus sign, which tells us to close the hi-hat. Okay, so you want to make sure you're opening the hi-hat for a whole quarter note or crotchet. Okay, so it opens on the 4, closes on the next 1. So we're just going to try that. So we're going to play the hi-hat rhythm of bar 2. Alright, so we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're going to loop it, okay, just to get used to the length of that open hi-hat. You want to make sure you're opening it for the whole beat, okay, from the 4 all the way to the next 1. So you want to open on the 4 and make sure your foot goes down and you hit the hi-hat with the stick on the 1. All right, so we'll try the hi-hat rhythm of bar 2 4 times. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to keep it open, don't rush to close it. Okay, you want that nice long open for a whole beat. Okay, and then in the second beat, we've got quarter note on the bass drum again, quarter note on the snare drum, eighth notes on the bass drum, and a quarter note on the snare drum. So nice, again, nice simple rhythm to play, but we've got that open hi-hat now coming in on the snare drum. Okay, so when you hit that snare drum on the 4, that's where the open hi-hat happens. Okay, so you're going to hit down with the snare with the left hand, open with the right, when the right hits the hi-hat on the 4th beat. Okay, so you're opening the hi-hat at the same time you're hitting that back beat on the snare. So if we loop bar 2 now, so the whole of bar 2, all right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we got a 2-bar groove. So bars 1 and 2 is the 2-bar groove. So we're going to try the 2-bar groove now. Okay, so put those 2 bars together. So we'll try the 2-bar groove 4 times through to get a hold of that intro groove. So then after those 2 bars, that 2-bar groove, we've got a 2-bar repeat. Okay, so you just repeat those 2 bars. And then looking at line 2 of the piece, you've got another 2 2-bar repeats. Okay, so you're repeating that 2-bar groove again and again in line 2. Okay, so you play it once in bars 1 and 2, then you've got a 2-bar repeat, which means you play it a second time, then you come into line 2, you've got another 2-bar repeat, which means you play the groove a third time, and you've got another 2-bar repeat in line 2, which means you play the groove a 4th time. Okay, then at the end of line 2, you've got a double bar line letting you know there's going to be a musical change, and that's because we've come to the end of the intro, okay, after line 2. So you've got that anacrusis or pickup bar playing from the 3. So you've got 3 and a 4 on the snare drum, and then you're in with your 2-bar groove, and you play the 2-bar groove 4 times for that intro. Okay, so that's the first 2 lines of the piece. So we're going to try the whole intro now. And now we're going to try the intro in time with a backing track. So you've got a 1.5 bar count in. 1, 2, 1, 2. You come in on the 3 and play your anacrusis, 3 and a 4, then in with a groove. Okay, so you want to make sure you're playing a nice solid groove. The subdivision on the hi-hat, those 8th notes, nice and evenly spaced and nice flow to them. And then make sure you open that hi-hat on the backbeat of 4 on the 2nd bar of the groove, and make sure you open it for the whole length, okay, so the correct length, which is a quarter note or crotchet. Okay, so you will open it for the whole beat, open on the 4, keep it open all the way to the 1. That's what's going to really complement the feel of the groove. All right, so let's try the intro in time with the backing track. So now we come into line 3, so we're at bar 9 of the piece now, and you can see it says verse there in a box, letting you know we're on to the verse, so a new section of the song. For the first 2 bars, so bars 9 and 10, we've got a 2-bar groove, and it's the same 2-bar groove you played in the intro. The only difference is we've got a crash on the 1 of the first bar. Okay, so you're going to accentuate the start of that 2-bar groove by crashing on the 1. Then after those first 2 bars of the verse, bars 9 and 10, the next 2 bars are the same. Crashing on the 1 of the first bar of the 2-bar groove, and you've got the same 2-bar groove there. So we're still opening that hi-hat on the 4 of the second bar, where we play the backbeat on the snare as well. But obviously now, after you've opened that hi-hat on the 4th beat, you're going to crash on the 1 of the next bar. So you're going to close the hi-hat with your left foot at the same time you hit that crash on the 1. Okay, so if we play twice through, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, you want to make sure you're opening for that whole beat, the whole quarter note, and then when you close, obviously you're not hitting the hi-hat on the close, but you still want to close it with your left foot, and as it closes, the moment it closes, that's when you hit the crash as well on the 1. So you want to still keep it open for that whole duration, close on 1 with the left foot, hit the crash at the same time. Okay, so make sure you're doing that. So we're going to get that nice feel, that nice controlled, tidy sound from the open hi-hat. Okay, so that's that groove. And then if you look at bars 15 and 16, which is the second 2 bars of line 2 of the verse, so bars 15 and 16, we've got a slight change up in the second bar of the groove, bar 16. We've got 8th notes on the bass drum on 1, we've still got that backbeat on the snare drum for a quarter note, and then we've got a dotted 8th note on the 3 on the bass drum and a 16th note. Okay, on the of 3 on the bass drum, quarter note snare drum on 4. So the bass and snare drum rhythm for that bar, bar 16, is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got 1 and 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to put that bass drum and snare drum rhythm underneath that same hi-hat rhythm where we're playing 8th notes up until the end of 3, quarter note, open hi-hat on the 4. So what we'll do is we'll loop bars 15 and 16 just so you can hear that variation of the bass drum. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so a nice change up on that bass drum, and that's the reason you got that change up there is because that's the 4th time of playing the 2-bar groove from the start of the verse. Okay, so you've got that same feeling we get, you know, that on the 4th time of playing the groove, you get that kind of 4th bar itch where you just want to change it up, give a nice sort of variation just to like refresh the groove. All right, so that's what that change up in the bass drum does. Then we come into the next line, which starts at bar 17, and we go back to the original 2-bar groove of the verse. Okay, then we got it again for the next 2 bars. We play the groove again in the next line, and we've got another 2 bars in the next line as well. Okay, so we've got that same original verse groove there. So that's the whole verse. You can see at the end of the bottom line of the first page, we've got a double bar line letting you know there's a musical change coming, which is because that's the end of the page is the end of the verse as well. Okay, so we're going to put the whole verse together now. So bar 9 up until bar 24, okay, which is the end of the verse, so which is also the end of the first page. Okay, so we've got that 2-bar groove, and then that change up in bars 15 and 16, and then we go back to the original 2-bar groove for the rest of the verse. Okay, so you just want to keep a nice rock solid groove, really accurate with your subdivisions, making sure they're really nicely evenly spaced, and you're just holding that open hi-hat on the backbeat of 4 for the right duration. Okay, it's whole length, the whole quarter notes. Let's try to put the whole verse together. And now we'll try the verse in time with the backing track. Okay, so just like before, you just want to be neat and tidy with the groove, making sure the open hi-hat is the correct duration because it's really going to complement the feel of that, the end of the groove. Okay, let's try out the backing track.
Ain't no big thing to wait for the bell to ring. Ain't no big thing, the tone of the bell. Going out, showing out, hit and run. Boy meets girl where the beat goes on. Stitched up tight, can't shake free. Love is a drug, got a hook on me. Oh.
So on to the next page, which starts at bar 25. So above bar 25, you can see it says bridge there in the box, letting you know it's a new section of a song. So we're on to the bridge. And you can see beneath it, it says O with 3 little dots there. So that's just the lyrics at that point. So just a nice little pointer. So when you're playing with a backing track and you hear that, you know you're at the right place. Okay? So it's just the lyrics of the song at that point. Now we've got a crash symbol there on the 1. You can see it above the bar. And then we've got slash notation in the bar. So slash notation gives us freedom to improvise. But it says there, cont sim 2-bar groove. So that means continue with a similar 2-bar groove. So you've been playing a 2-bar groove in the verse. So you want to continue with something similar. So you can change it up if a little bit, but it has to be similar, obviously. And it still needs to be 2 bars. And we still want to hear that crash at the start of the 2-bar groove, okay? So you want to play a similar 2-bar groove, crashing on the 1 of the first bar of each 2-bar groove. So you can see once we've got past those first 2 bars of the bridge, we come into the next 2 bars. You can see we've got the crash there on the 1 of the first bar of the 2 bars. So we're just crashing on the 1 of the first bar of a 2-bar groove that's similar to the 2-bar groove we've already been playing, okay? So you've just got a little bit of freedom to change it up, okay? So you've got that first line of the bridge there, so bars 25, 26, 27 and 28, where you're improvising the 2-bar groove, and then you come into the next line, we're going to improvise 2-bar groove for another 2 bars, and then we've got 1 more bar of improvisation crashing on the 1 of the start of the bar at bar 31, and then when we come into bar 32, we hit the hi-hat and bass drum for a quarter note on 1, we've got a quarter note rest, and then we've got a 2-beat fill on 3 and 4. So we're up to the small tom for that fill. On the 3rd beat, we've got a 16th note, an 8th note, and a 16th note, so that rhythm is 3E, A. Okay, and then in the next beat, we've got a 16th note rest, then we've got a 16th note and an 8th note. So they're going to be played on the E of 4 and the and of 4. So that 2-beat fill is 3E, A, E, and. Okay, going to play that on the small tom. Sticking, we're going to play right, left, 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 right. So that 2-beat fill sounds like this. 1, 2, 3E, A, E, and. Okay, so the whole bar, so we're going to play the 1 on the hi-hat and bass drum, rest on 2, and then play the 2-beat fill. So that bar, so bar 32 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to try that whole bridge. Okay, so we got bars 25 to 32, so a 2-bar groove, improvised. We played 2-bar groove, improvised again, another 2 bars, improvised, then we got 1 bar of an improvised groove, and then the next bar we've got our fill for beats 3 and 4. Okay, so let's try the whole bridge. And now we'll try the whole bridge in time with the backing track.
Love is a drug, got a hook on me. Oh, catch that buzz. Love is the drug I'm thinking of. Oh, can't you see? Love is the drug for me. Oh.
So then we come into the next line of the piece, which is line 3 of page 2, which starts at bar 33. So above the bar, you can see we've got ending there in a box, letting you know we're onto a new section of the song. So the ending, then beneath that it says halftime feel. Okay, so the feel of the music is going to change to halftime. So normally our backbeat is on the 2 and the 4, but when we play a halftime feel, we want to move that backbeat to just the 3. Okay, so that's going to give the effect of like the groove slowing down, although it isn't. We're just changing where that backbeat hits, and it just gives a sense of like more space and a more relaxed groove. Okay, so you can see the groove. We've got quarter notes now on the cymbal. We've got a crash cymbal on the 1, and then we move to the ride cymbal. Okay, it's holding quarter notes. Bass and snare drum rhythm. We've got a bass drum for a quarter note on 1, then we've got an 8th note rest on 2, we've got an 8th note on the bass drum on the upbeat of 2, so the and of 2, then we've got a quarter note on the snare drum on 3, which is your backbeat because we're playing a halftime feel groove, then we've got a quarter note rest on the 4. Okay, so if we take out the crash on 1 and just play it on the ride cymbal, because that crash is just accentuating the start of the groove, so we take that out first of all just to get the groove down. So the groove in bar 33 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. And beneath the bar, we've got an F there, which is short for forte, which means loud. Okay, so you want to increase the energy for this groove. And then after that bar, we've got a 1 bar repeat, so we just repeat that groove again. And then in the next bar, we've also got a 1 bar repeat, so we repeat that groove again. So we play it 3 times, and then we come into the final bar of that line, so bar 36, where we just got a fill. So you play the first 2 beats of the groove, so you play the 1 on the ride and bass drum, then you play the 2 on the ride, and then we play the and of 2 on the snare drum, okay, with the left hand. And then we're going to play a snare drum on the 3, the downbeat 3, right hand for an 8th note. Then we've got an 8th note on the high tom or small tom on the and of 3. Okay, you play that with your left hand. And then we've got a quarter note on the floor tom on the 4th beat. Okay, so you got a fill there. So you got 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So that bar, so bar 36 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you want to use that sticking, so you go around the kit open, so you don't want to be crossing your arms. So you got right, left, right. Okay, so that's that bar. So we're going to try that whole line now. So bars 33, 34, 35, and 36. We've got that 1 bar groove played 3 times. You only want to crash on the 1 of the first bar. Okay, don't repeat the crashes when you play the 2nd and 3rd bar of that line. Okay, you just want to stay on the ride cymbal on the 1 for those 2 bars, and then we've got the fill at the end of the line. Okay, so let's try that whole line now. The 3rd line of page 2, which is the first line of the ending. Then on to the next line, which starts at bar 37. So we've got that same 1 bar groove that we've already played. So we're crashing there on the 1 again, because it's the start of a new 4 bars. Then we've got a 1 bar repeat in the next bar. So remember, don't repeat the crash on the 1, just stay on the ride cymbal on the 1 for that bar. But in the next bar, which is bar 39, we've got a crash for a dotted quarter note on the 1, and then we've got a crash for an 8th note on the and of 1, and that's tied to a half note crash there. Okay, so you're just going to let that note ring. They're tied together, so those 2 notes merge together, so we just hit the and of 2 there. Okay, then we've got a bass and snare drum rhythm. Bass plays a quarter note on 1, snare 8th note on 2, bass drum 8th note on the and of 2, 8th note rest on 3, and then we play a snare drum on the and of 3, and then we've also got a snare drum on the 4 as well. Okay, so the rhythm of both, the collective rhythm of both rhythms there, you got 1, 2, and 4. Okay, so we're gonna go for that bar. So bar 39, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so for those last 2 snare drums on the and of 3 and 4, you can play left, right, or if you want, you can just play left, left. Okay, doesn't matter. And then into the last line, so you can see at bar 40, we got a 1 bar repeat. You just play that bar you've just played again, and then we slightly change it in the next bar. So bar 41, you got a dotted quarter note crash again, 8th note crash on the and of 2, which is tied to that quarter note this time, and then we got a quarter note crash on the 4. Okay, so you got the same bass and snare drum rhythm. All that's changing is on the 4, because you're now playing a crash, you're going to play it with a bass drum. Okay, so the previous bar played another snare drum on the 4, this time we got a bass drum. So that bar 41, is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the collective rhythm is 1, 2, and 4. And then in the final bar of the piece, we just crash on the 1 with the bass drum as well. Okay, so you get that loopy line, which just means you let the note ring, and then we've got a chord to note rest. So in that final bar, we've only got 2 beats in the bar, and that's because of the anacrusis. Okay, so the anacrusis was 2 beats long, so that comes off the final bar of the piece. So we've got 2 beats in the final bar, 2 beats for the anacrusis, that's the 4 beats in the bar, because we're in 4/4, obviously. Okay, so what we're going to try now is we're going to try at bar 37 to the end of the piece. Okay, so we're going to play that 1 bar groove, we've got the repeat, then we've got that change up where we've got the crashes and the snare drum. We repeat that bar, and then we've got a change up again, which is slightly different, and then we finish. Okay, so let's try bars 37 to the end of the piece. And now we'll try the whole ending, okay? So bar 33 to the end of the piece, so the halftime section. And now we'll play the ending in time with a backing track. Okay, so make sure you're playing that backbeat on just the 3rd beat to give that halftime feel, that nice relaxed, spacious sound to the groove. Okay, and just make sure you're accurate with where the notes are played when you change up to those crash notes, those extra crash notes and snare notes in bars 39, 40, 41, and obviously then you finish in the final bar. Okay, so let's try the ending in time with a backing track.
Love is the drug for me.
And now we're going to put the whole piece together. So you've got your 2-beat anacrusis, and then we come in with a 2-bar groove for the intro. We play the same 2-bar groove for the verse. We're just adding that crash on the 1 of the first bar of the 2-bar groove. 1 little change up in the verse, and then we come into the bridge where you've got a bit of freedom to improvise the 2-bar groove, so you can change it up. Play that 2-beat feel at the end of the bridge, and then we come into the ending where we're going to change the feel to a nice, spacious, relaxed halftime feel. Okay? So just make sure you're comfortable transitioning between those parts. Let's try and put it all together. And now we'll play the whole piece in time with the backing track. So remember, you've got a 1.5 bar count in, then you come in with your 2-beat anacrusis, in with a groove, keep it nice and solid, and just make sure that open hi-hat is being opened right on the 4 and it's closing right on the 1 of the next bar. So you're opening it for that whole beat, that whole quarter note or crotchet. And then obviously the only change up in the verse is you've got that crash on the 1 of the first bar of those 2-bar grooves. All right, so let's just make sure we can flow from section to section in time with the music.
Stitched up tight, can't shake free. Love is a drug, got a hook on me. Oh, catch that buzz. Love is the drug I'm thinking of. Oh, can't you see? Love is the drug for me.
So I hope you enjoyed playing to that song. So remember, we went through the song parts at song tempo, which was 124 beats per minute. It's quite a fast tempo. So bring the tempo down initially to get the parts down, so you're playing at a comfortable tempo so it feels comfortable. If it feels comfortable, it's going to sound good, okay? So just make sure you're not rushing it. And then as you get comfortable, bump up the tempo till you get to that song tempo, then try it with the music. Okay, so make sure you're developing your drumming, you're not just rushing to be able to play the song. Okay, really work on the feel of the groove and making sure those open hi-hats sounding nice, they're the right duration, and they're really complementing the feel of the music. Okay, so have fun with this lesson, and we'll see you in the next one.